Well, here we are for another long awaited, maybe, Flip Through Friday. I had mentioned in some of my videos earlier in the week that my Flip Through Fridays, at least right now, consists of books I own, and I wouldn't be buying anything new. Oh, how you laughed, I'm sure, when I said that, because then I saw some finished pages for the month and some books. And they're books I've wanted for a while, and I thought, it's been. I think I've bought one book in the past 3 months. I thought, well, let me go ahead and get a few books. So I'm going to share those with you today. Some of these will be very familiar to you if you watch other color tubers, but we're still going to flip through them. And I did promise a flip through of Sloths, which I was released in June. So let's get started, and we'll get started with that one. For those of you that aren't familiar with my Flip Through Fridays, instead of doing individual flip through videos, unless it's a new release, now I'll do a video usually if it's a new release that I've pre-ordered. But for the most part, if I do flip throughs of coloring books, I like to group them into a video. If there's only one book in particular you have an interest in, I put timestamps in the description so you can bounce directly to those books if you prefer just to see those. And I feel like this is a little more efficient for me, and it's a little more fun because we get to see a variety of books at once. I don't have to record 5 or 6 different videos, and I feel like it works out well for me and hopefully for you as well. So let's get started. See if I manage not to knock everything off my precarious piles around me. If you're somebody like me, when you're trying to organize your art supplies and like your coloring books and stuff, it's never fully organized. It's just a perpetual, constant change, and that's pretty much what's going on with me right now. So while some stuff is nice and neat and put away, a lot of my other stuff is just randomly still in precarious piles that I need to deal with. So getting new coloring books to add to that mix probably is not helping, but we're not going to go into that right now. All right, so Sloths. This is by Lulu Mayo. Just a moment. There we go. And it is super cute creatures to color. She has a series of books. If you're not familiar with her work, just a moment. I'll show you a few of some of her other ones. We have A Million Bears. There's A Million Dogs, which I still do not have. A Million Owls, which I cannot reach. And of course, my absolute favorite, A Million Cats. She is also releasing a new book, A Million Unicorns, I believe in August. And I will pre-order that when it's available for pre-order, and that will be a new release flip through. I love her work, and I'm super excited about that one as well. So, let's get started with this one. Oh, before I do get started, as I always seem to tend to forget, in comparison to, let's say, a typical size coloring book, which would be, we'll use a Jade Summer book as an example, in terms of height and width, this, well, let me came back out any further, hang on. There we go. So you can see that. I would say the Jade Summer books are an average size coloring book for like length and width, thickness, usually yes. So the Lulu Mayo books are a little bit smaller. They are definitely, I'd say, 60% of the overall size of an average coloring book. So they are smaller books, so keep that in mind. I always forget to check coloring book sizes when I order the books, so I try to always cover those. Oh wait, this is the front cover, and then this is the back. Let me zoom in a little bit more so we can see this one. All right, all of her books, I believe, are Lark Publishing, and here is the title page. These are double-sided pages. Make sure I can get the entire thing there. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Perfection. So here is some more information about the publishing. This is good. I've used this as like a tester page before. The paper quality in this is decent. If you have really juicy gel pens, they will probably bleed through. Markers will bleed through. You could use watercolors in this without a lot of issue. So here while I'm talking about it, we're just going to keep flipping. Guys, I'm out of practice on this. I'm trying here. So there's a little bit of a mess up here, and that's because the page protector I used had some scribbles on it, and when I put pressure on this page when I was coloring, it actually transferred onto this paper. So keep that in mind, that I would certainly use a protector page, a clean protector page behind what you're coloring, just in case there's any sort of transfer like that. So keep that in mind. This is the double page spread I completed last week before. Can't quite remember. It was in June. And we're blurry again. Seems so odd that it can be blurry one minute and not so much next. One of the things I really like about her books, and I also had some transfer happen here, I'm not too concerned about it because my plan is to come in with something, and it'll, like, if I'm coloring this in, it should cover it up. So I'm not too concerned about that myself. One thing I do like about her books, let me back out just a hair so you can see it all. Okay. Is not only does she cover the subject matter, like if it's sloths, she of course has sloths in here, but she also includes some of her other characters and then just little bitty random characters as well, which I really like. Like we've got some bears here, we've got some cats sneaking in. It's almost like a search page. What do we have? I wonder if she'll do 1,000,000 bunnies in the future, because I see rabbits in this one quite a bit. That's cute with the tomato sauce. I like these types of pages. I think these are really good. Probably what I'll do, the completed page I did was Black Widow pencils, and I feel like they did a pretty good job. But I'll probably take a page like this and try out my different color pencils to see which ones really shine in these books. That I cannot tell you 100% yet, but you can see the results from the Black Widow pencils and judge for yourself on that one. I am a heavy-handed colorist, so also keep that in mind. Sometimes it's not just the material you're using, it's the amount of pressure you color with. If you're someone that likes to just layer and layer and layer non-stop, obviously you want to go with a harder color pencil, and that would probably still look different on here than somebody used a softer hard pressure pencil. I like this one with the rabbits. I like the mix of the dark backgrounds mixed in with the light as well. Good variety of images. You have some that are kind of wallpaper type pages. You have double page spreads. There's a squirrel. You've got fairly not super complex images, but then you also have some that are a little more complex. You have these where you have a variety of smaller images. There's just all kinds of variety. Ooh, we got koalas as well. We got pandas and koalas. I love like all the animals she draws. I don't have the dogs one yet. I need to get it because like I said, there's not one animal I think she draws that I don't like. They're all adorable. This one's got some owls there and then some birds as well. Oh, gonna skip on y'all. And then finally that. And there's no extra pages to this. It's just the title page and all that. And then it's just straight up ends up in the back with the back cover. So there is Emelie and Sloths. This is one I have had on my wish list for a long time. I've kind of went back and forth on buying it. I saw some people complete some pages out of this for June, and I finally said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get it. It is an adorable book. It's Fairy Tales by Emelie Oberg, I believe is how you pronounce that. I apologize if that is not the case. In comparison to an average size coloring book. I'm going to zoom out. It is definitely wider than your average coloring book, but it is a little bit shorter. Keep that in mind. The cover is a little bit thicker type cover on the front and the back. On the back it reads, Fairy tales come to life in this debut coloring book from Swedish artist Emelie Oberg. Discover florals and blooms, sweetly sleeping woodland animals, whimsical abodes, and the creatures who inhabit them. These fanciful illustrations will win the imagination of both the young and young at heart. So the cover is similar to a Joanna Bastard type book cover, and it actually has a fold out that you can color. It's a matte type finish. It's not glossy, so that is pretty darn cool. Let me go ahead and show you that in its entirety. So then we have our title page. The paper in here feels interesting. It feels thick. Very nice type paper. Not like just crazy smooth, but definitely not a rough paper either. This I think will take to colored pencils very well. You have your nameplate page. This is a double-sided book. I may have to back out so we can see it all. Yes. There we go. So here we go. That squirrel is adorable. So if you're a fan of let's say Maria Troll, if you like, I would say like the romantic country type books, this book would be one that I would recommend just because the art is kind of in that. Those are the books I think of when I look at the art for this one. You do have, I think, a nice mix of less complex images and then a little bit bigger project pages, as I would like to call them. Oh, that's so cute. The real question for me is trying to decide which one I want to tackle first. I think it was this one was the completed page I saw. Maybe. It might have been a different one. I can't remember. I've been eyeballing this one. I think that might be the first one that I try. The line art is pretty much average thickness. The line art around the animals is a little bit lighter. So just keep that in mind if you're not sure how you feel about that. You got a mixture of animals and some people mixed in. Definitely florals. Leaves, if you like that. If you like coloring leaves and flowers, this is a good choice for you. It's a good sized book. There's plenty of images to choose from. I like that this is popping out of the book like that. I don't know, the goldfish is kind of cool too. Maybe it was this one. Actually, I think it was that one that was completed. Goodness, I cannot remember. Anyway, I like all the images in this book, so. I suspect, as usual, markers will likely bleed through. These watercolors might do well. I will have to use the title and the nameplate page as I typically try to use those as my tester pages unless there's a good page in the book that gives me a better opportunity for that. I feel like I'm moving very slowly today, and I apologize for that, but I want to make sure you guys get a good look at these, and again, I'm kind of out of practice, so, well, goodness. Always gets awkward at the back of the book when I'm doing the flip through. Oop, skipped one. Hannah Carlzon's another one that comes to mind with this kind of imagery. He looks pretty. Whoop. Sorry about that. Microphone's trying to get away from me today. There we go. He's looking pretty. Alright, there we go. He is looking pretty smug, is what I kept trying to say. And then here is the back cover. A little information about Emelie. So there is fairy tales. This one is probably going to look very familiar to many of you. Sagor, Sagner? And if I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. This is also Emelie Oberg. There we go. Let's put it right side up. In comparison, this is a hardback book. So that is what the spine of it looks like. There's the back. I am not going to read that because it is, I cannot, I cannot. So there is the Baby Dragons book we're comparing with. It is not quite as tall, but the width is roughly the same. All right. And again, hardcover. Goodness. There is the title page. and the nameplate. This is also a double-sided book. Again, a wide variety of images of people and animals. You have little gnomes. Different buildings, homes. Just a really nice variety of images to color. Nice thick paper. Again, I would watch for marker bleed through on this, but I believe that it will definitely handle pencils well, and I will be curious to see how it does with watercolors and watercolor pencils. Again, your line art's pretty much an average darker line art, but a little bit lighter around the animals themselves. And yes, we have a kitty cat here. I apologize for the racket. My window's open so the cats can get on the front porch, and so you can hear a lot of the traffic that comes through. This is one I've went back and forth on for a while, this book. At one point when I did want it, it was out of print. And then they did a reprinting of it. And again, I kind of went back and forth on it until I saw it on Amazon and then just said, let's go ahead and get it. That one's too cute. I love the sleeping animals. I like that one as well. That's really pretty. Good. I'd say this has a little more to it than an average size book. It's, again, very similar to the thickness of some of the other hardback books that are out there right now. I like that one a lot. Been really big in the flowers. I guess just because of summer and the fact that I didn't really get out and plant any flowers this year. I've been particularly drawn to flowers here in the last few weeks. So if you see me come away with that quite a bit in my completed pictures, that's why. I like they're lounging in the teacup. That one's pretty. They're all pretty. I need to get my little cat bookmarks back out. Here's a nice double page spread for those of you that like a little bit of a challenge. And here is the last image, which would be a really good one for Christmas in July type color long. And there is, sorry about the light, here's the back cover. All right. My microphone does not like me today. Now, haven't bought any new Jade Summer books in a while. I think actually the book I bought during my dry spell of book buying was the Kawaii Girls Grayscale book, but I hadn't really bought any others since. I did see this one though, and it is hopefully, I'm recording this on Wednesday. Hopefully on Friday it's still on sale. If it is, I'll note it in the description. They had this one marked down, I think, to $6.50, which was a really good price, or $6 or $7, something like that. It is aptly the summer coloring book by Jade Summer. If you're not familiar with the Jade Summer books, I'm using a Jade Summer book in comparison for size, so it's a standard size, average size coloring book. They are on Amazon printed paper. They will show some of the images on the back. Ooh. Really haven't. As you can see, I just got this one today, actually, so I think I've got one other summer themed coloring book. And so this one appealed to me. Jade Summer books are kind of like my comfort zone books. A lot of times if I just want, I really like this picture right here. A lot of times when I just want to grab my markers and I just want to color something and not really think or plan too much in it, my Jade Summer books are really like my go-to books for that. They are single-sided with a black background. If you do color with marker with these, sometimes you'll see the black background come through on the wet marker, but as it dries, that will disappear. Oh, that's so cute. That might be the first one I do. That one's adorable. I like the hummingbird one too. Like I said, a lot of times I will just come in and either use watercolor, pencils, or markers and just straight color. Sometimes if I want a little more dimension, I'll come back through with pencil. I have used just pencils in these books as well, and once in a blue moon I might get in the mood to do that, but for the most part, I think because they're single-sided, I get drawn to using markers for them. It's a little bit rougher type paper. Your harder color pencils will leave less white space, though you can use blending agents like Gamsol if you're using colored pencils. Gamsol or mineral spirits or something to help with that. It's one of the reasons I like using a marker base and then coming back with pencil is I can get my shading and my dimension without having, and I can use any pencil I want really without having to worry about the roughness of the paper because that base layer of color is already there. So I hadn't seen this one much, and it might just be because I wasn't around much when it was released. But again, I just thought this was a nice variety of images, and here we are again. This one actually does have duplicates. So I believe it's 25 images, and then you get those 25 again, which I really like in a lot of their books if I want to try something different than, or if I happen to make a mistake on a page, then I have another one that I can color with. So there is the summer coloring book. And finally, I noticed that there was a new Hannah Lynn book out. Newish. I'm not sure exactly when this came out, but it was during the time I think I was out. So I do like some of her books, so I thought I would get this one. If we compare it to the Jade Summer book, it is pretty much the same width. in the same height. So, just your typical average size coloring book. The Hannah Lynn paper is also Amazon printed paper. This one gives you thumbnails of all the different and names for all the different images. She also provides duplicates for each image, as you can see. Again, really nice. These are single-sided, but they do have the white background to them. I see a lot of people use a variety of mediums on this. Marker, pencil, watercolors, ink tints. I see all kinds of medium being used, so. I don't think I've colored in my Hannah Lynn books for a while. I really need to go back and do another page, and of course it will probably be in here. I really like this one. That was one of the ones that in particular caught my eye when I was looking at images for the book. I've seen quite a few people do this picture last month as color along and did a beautiful job with it. Got our vampire Cupid. Fox, maybe? Wolf? Maybe. It's probably a wolf. That one's really neat. I saw that one in a couple completed images too, and it looked very nice. Really good amount of images to choose from in this book as well. What I will do is post Amazon links and Book Depository if it's available there, Book Outlet if it's available there, anywhere that I happen to come across these books. I try to at least put a couple links in the description. The Amazon links are affiliate links. If you do purchase something through those links, I get a few cents of like a referral type bonus. I put that back towards coloring supplies and coloring books such as this. I've seen quite a few of this one completed that are adorable. So again, if you mess one up or want to do a picture two different ways, you have that choice in this book, without having to like scan it and print out another copy, which isn't very nice. And then a list of patrons back here. So she does have a Patreon page. It is patreon.com/Hannah Lynn. And then a blank sheet here in the back. So it's 25 designs and then 2 copies of each to give you 50 total in this. So that concludes this Flip Through Friday. It's probably actually more about average length for me, really. I mean, let's be honest. But hopefully you enjoyed this. As I said, all of the links and timestamps will be in the description if you want to go back to one of these in particular. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.